we are going to discuss about business cycle. I hope all of you have heard about business cycle. In today's class, we have to analyze various stages of business cycle. Okay, various phases of business cycle. First of all, we shall see the meaning of business cycle. What is a business cycle? Business cycle can be characterized as fluctuations in economic activity in the form of actual real output fluctuations around potential output of the economy. The economic activity is either accelerating or decelerating. The economic cycle means alternating periods of growth and decline in real output, investment, employment, profit and other variables. So, what is an business cycle? Business cycle is formed as per the fluctuations of economic activity. What are economic activities? Like increase in real output, employment, investment. Due to an increase or decrease in these economic activities, economy may pass through different stages like boom, recession, depression, trough. Okay, that is known as business cycle. Let us see its diagram. In the diagram, you can see different stages of business cycle. What are the stages? Boom, peak, recession, recovery, peak, expansion, peak, etc. Okay, so these are the different stages of business cycle. What are the stages? Boom, peak, recession, depression, recovery, peak, etc. Okay, hope you got these phases. What are the phases? Boom, peak, recession, which is not mentioned in the diagram, depression and then recovery. These are the different phases of business cycle. In the diagram, level of real output is taken the y-axis and time on the x-axis. Now let us see the factors that shape business cycle. What are the factors that are responsible for the formation of business cycle? The main two factors which are responsible for the formation of business cycle are volatility of investment and technological innovations. Volatility means changes in investment and technological innovations are the important contributory factors which led to the formation of business cycle. Okay, what are the factors? Investment, changes in investment and technology innovations. Now let us move on to various stages of business cycle. What are the stages? The first stage is recovery. The turning point from depression to expansion is termed as recovery or revival phase. Consumers' confidence starts to increase. Rise in economic activities are the peculiarities of this phase. What is recovery? You have heard about recovery. It's a small change in improvement, isn't it? So, it is a turning point from depression. It is an improvement stage. Here, the confidence of consumers starts to increase and economic activities starts to improve during this stage. Such a stage is known as recovery. Okay, what is recovery? It is a turning point from depression to expansion. Okay, next is boom. Boom is the best stage of economic activity. Business cycle. Here, the economic activities will rise. Consumers' confidence rise. Economic activities. What are the economic activities? Output, employment, investment. All these are the economic activities. All these economic activities starts to increase at a faster pace or faster speed during this stage. Unemployment level falls. Instead, employment increases. Business starts increase their construction, rise in national income, rapid increase in the economy, inflation increase at very high rates. These are the characteristics of boom stage. Okay, so this is the best stage of business cycle. Why? economic activity is at a good stage, which means output increases, investment increases, employment increases, and unemployment decreases. All these are the characteristics of boom. Okay. Next is peak. Peak is the final stage of expansion. Sorry, I have forgot to explain or forgot to describe. Actually, there are two phases: expansionary phase and contractionary phase. In the expansionary phase, we have recovery, boom, and peak. And the peak is the last stage of expansionary phase. Here, the economy has reached its peaks and output starts to stand still. Output become constant during this stage, and people start to stop buying. People stop their buying during this stage, and GDP begins to decline during this stage. Okay, this is the last stage of expansionary phase of business cycle, which is the stage peak. During this stage, economy reached its peak. Output become constant. People stop buying. GDP begins to decline. So these are the peculiarities of peak stage. Okay. Hope you got it. About peak stage. Peak stage means the last stage of expansion. Next is recession. Recession will follow the peak stage. Okay, recession will follow the peak stage of business cycle. After peak stage, the next stage is recession. Okay, during peak stage, economy reached its maximum output, maximum investment, maximum employment, and during that stage, people stop buying. Their GDP starts declining, and the next stage, actually, the next phase is contractionary phase. In the contractionary phase, there are three phases. They are recession, depression, and trough. It is a period of decrease in consumer confidence and economic activity. Actually, during the contraction period, the consumer confidence and all economic activities tends to decline. It consists of three smaller stages, which are the recession, depression, and trough. Okay, what is contraction? During contraction, consumer confidence and economic activity starts declining, and it consists of three stages, which are the recession, depression, and trough. Okay, that is the next stage of business cycle. One is expansionary stage and the other is contractionary stage. In the expansion stage, there are three phases, which are the recovery, boom, and peak. And in the contraction, recession, depression, and trough. Now let us see recession. It is a period of reduced economic activity in which levels of buying, selling, production, and employment typically diminish. So during this period, during the recession stage, the economic activity starts declining. What are the economic activities? Employment, output, investment, production, selling, all comes to a decline, diminishing situation. Okay, consumer confidence also decrease during this period. Unemployment starts to increase during this stage. So this is the characteristics of recessional stage. Okay, what is recession? It is a period of declining economic activity and consumers' confidence. Okay, and during this stage, unemployment starts increasing. Okay, so this is the first stage of contraction phase of business cycle. Okay, What are the three phases of contraction? Recession, depression, and trough. Recession is the first stage of contraction in which the economic activity starts to decline. Consumers' confidence starts to decline. Unemployment starts to increase. Okay, this is about the recession stage. Next is depression. Depression is the most fearful stage of business cycle. Which is the best stage? Boom is the best stage, whereas most fearful stage is depression, in which the phase of depression is characterized by low economic activities, rapid decline in general output and employment. So during this stage, the economic activities comes to very low and general output and employment become very low. So it is the most fearful stage of business cycle. Which is the most fearful stage? Depression is the most fearful stage of business cycle, in which all economic activities like production, employment, output, investment, everything comes to a diminishing situation. Okay, this is known as depression. Okay, so this is the second stage of contraction phase. First phase is recession and the second one is depression. Okay, and the last stage of contraction is trough. In this stage, the economic activity business marks the end of the period of declining business activity and transition of expansion. This is the last stage of contraction, which means it is in between recovery and depression. So it is the final stage of contraction and at the same time first stage of expansion, since it is between recovery and depression. Okay, here economic activity, the diminishing of economic activity comes to end. Okay, I hope all you got an idea regarding the phases of business cycle. Okay, thank you.